Hey everybody, welcome to this edition of Utilizing Chat GPT and AI in your real estate investment business, where we're going to cover some really awesome topics. We have an absolutely special and we're honored guest here, Kyle Rogers. Kyle Rogers is going to be taking us through one of the things that Chat GPT-3 and AI can do to help you actually find deals. Crazy as it sounds, and guess what? It's free. So give us a little sneak peek, Kyle, at what involved in this and what we can expect for your process and your flow that you teach investors across the country.
GPT-3 is an AI bot. It's a chat bot that will pull language based off of this training that it's pulled from hundreds and thousands of words from the internet. It's basically read the entire internet up to 2021, and it can string those words together to give you intelligent answers to whatever questions that you ask of it. It's been trained on such vast data that it can respond like a human, and it can also understand and comprehend like a human. There's so many different applications of GPT-3, and we can go into a couple different examples.
I would love to go into the examples because we know as a marketing experts in the field, in the niche of real estate, it can get expensive to market for deals. And there's a lot of investors who want to get started in real estate who are actually motivated, but they really don't have a lot of this, right? But they can get a lot of this and they don't actually have to spend a lot of it to start the deal flow coming in, marketing.
You can use GPT-3 to be able to take that to a whole nother level. You can be able to read and understand your data in a new way and find deals that are slipping through the cracks. You can optimize your marketing, optimize your funnels, optimize your drip campaigns, rewrite your scripts, and it can look at your data as a whole from your marketing campaigns and give you suggestions on what you need to tweak in order to increase and make it better. So one of the major things that GPT-3 can do to help you find deals is help you find deals without doing any other marketing. Basically in what you're already doing, your current systems, your current marketing, where are deals slipping through the cracks, and what can you do better to increase your conversions and your KPIs?
What have you found for business purposes and even in the niche of real estate it's both really good at and also not really good at?
I get some pushback here when I talk about this, because some people say, you know, GPT-3 excels at the language, but it's not good at math. Or, you know, all it does is strings words together, but it's not intelligent. It's not able to think and process the way that a human can, so it hasn't reached general intelligence. But the thing is I've experimented with this thing, and it's more than just stringing words together. It knows, it can comprehend, and it can think, and it's very good at it. It's being constantly trained daily. Every conversation that I've had with it, every conversation that you've had with it, every single day, it's being trained on that and learning from those conversations as a whole. And it remembers past conversations that you had with it too. Even if it was weeks ago, it can still pull context from that and understand what you're saying. So those are its strengths. Now let me give you some of its weaknesses. Some of its weaknesses are math. It's an AI designed for language. It's not an AI designed for math. There's AI that is better at that than GPT-3. And some of the limitations that this thing has is that its information cuts off after 2021. But the thing is you can actually feed GPT-3 data. You can copy and paste data right into the chat and be able to get it trained up or up to date on whatever questions you're asking of it. Now, one thing that it is good at is helping you find AI that is specifically designed for that. I've asked it about this. I can't think of the name of the AI right now that it gave me, but there's an AI that will go out and analyzes the real estate market all the time. And it can predict market trends. It can predict what's going on in specific neighborhoods, even down to specific streets. Now, what this AI software can't do is it can't speak to you. It can't have a conversation with you. So it just looks like a bunch of numbers and graphs on a screen. With some people that are more technically minded, and they're already geared that way, they can look at that data and interpret it pretty quickly and understand what it means. But for the rest of us, it just looks like a bunch of numbers scribbled on a screen, right? And a bunch of graphs, and people don't really know how to interpret that data all of the time. So what GPT-3 can do is tie into that data and essentially be able to let you speak to your data. And when you can speak to your data and ask it questions about how certain things impact it, it can shed so much more light and impact on your process.
Now, I know you said that there are limitations, but there's ways around the limitations in some aspects and in some instances when you run into not getting an output that you desire. So what's an example of a proper prompt to provide Chat GPT-3 when you don't get the output that you're looking for?
Sometimes you have to give it multiple layers of questions in order to get it going the right way. So if you ask it a question and then it gives you the answer and is slightly wrong, then your next follow-up prompt is, no, don't give me that answer. This is specifically what I'm looking for. Then the next time you go and ask that question, you can include those two prompts together. You can say, here's my question, this is what I mean, and not that. And then the next time you ask that, it's going to consistently answer that question right. That's called chain of thought prompt engineering. And basically you're telling GPT-3 how to think, how you processed your answer, and how it should model its answer when it answers your questions.
And anybody can take advantage of the hard work that you've put in to get those types of prompts and the questions that you're asking when you're talking about chain of thought engineering by going to botfox.net/REI Made Easy, or just click the link in the description below.
Exactly. And we have live AI sessions to where you guys can jump in. They're AI-powered Zoom sessions to where we're on live with the GPT-3 opened up on a screen share, and we're working on your business. We're sitting there inputting different prompts and questions and queries to be able to get this thing to work on different aspects of your business, whether that's finding deals, finding buyers, making contracts, or copywriting, making scripts.
That's really cool. Now, one of the things that I've seen people have issues with is the volume of text that you can actually put into it, right? So if you're trying to create a pretty well-developed prompt and you exceed the character limitations, what would you have to say about that?
When you're inputting this, give it a new thread, because you notice when you click the menu on the left, when you're inside of Chat GPT, there's a menu, and all of these menus are the different chats or threads. Now, you want to create a brand new thread from scratch so that it can have fresh context. It's almost like you're training a new machine. Next step is to start to feed it the data. So you want to give it the first part. You'll copy and paste as many characters as you can put into it. You put that part of the document into it, and then at the very end, you say, this is not the entire document. Please do not respond until you have the entire document so that you have full context. End of prompt. So you have that at the end every single time that you paste the next thing. Then once it has the entire thing and it can start to pull context, and you can ask it questions regarding that. It does pretty dang good. Now, where we'll start to forget or lose clarity is if you fill that thread up with a bunch of different questions, and some of them are unrelated to that specific topic. And the more conversation you put in between the document and what you're saying now, the more it's going to lose context. If you're doing that, you're going to have to feed it the documents more than once. Now, for folks that are like, oh, that's tedious, I don't want to have to do that. This is when you start to get into more of the development stuff. So you would need to use the API with the GPT-3 and go in and start to develop your own app. And GPT-3 can actually show you steps on how to do this. It's drag and drop and relatively easy. And you can tie in GPT-3 into any app that you create. There's people on YouTube having GPT-3 make AI. So AI making AI.
AI babies is what it is.
Yep. Essentially, let's do something real quick. Are one of you guys able to jump onto GPT-3 and share your screen?
Let's do this.
So let's say this. Go into the prompt and say, please send me a list of AI software for real estate market analysis and predictive analytics. Please send me the best one that has plenty of YouTube tutorials. House Canary, that's the one remember I said I can't think of the name? Is House Canary, that's the one. Now next, go in there and write down, how can I use the data from House Canary and feed it to GPT-3 to get new insights? What specifically can GPT-3 do to help me analyze this data in a deeper way and understand it in a deeper way?
Yeah, that's a question. So speaking of question marks, will that confuse it if you put a question with a period instead of a question mark? Does that create challenges?
No, I actually use my chat to speech, a voice to text on my keyboard all the time to talk to it. It doesn't create punctuation unless I sit there and specifically say period or question mark, and it still understands me. It can still answer the questions very effectively.
So we do have the stuff to feed it to Chat GPT for generating new insights, and we just follow 4 simple steps. It says, obtain the data from House Canary, that they'll provide a variety of data products, including property valuations, market trends, and predictive analytics, and then clean and process the data before feeding the data to GPT-3. Well, of course, the question is, what is a suitable format for analysis?
You can just either copy and paste the data or give it comment separated values, and it can understand that pretty well. You can use the API to tie that data in, but that costs money. That's where it starts to cost money, because this is free, guys.
Right, which is also another thing that you teach and train on for investors to be able to use Chat GPT-3 to analyze the data in their own CRM.
Yes. So ask it, what strengths can GPT-3 bring to analyzing this data that House Canary doesn't already have?
They're both powerful tools for analyzing real estate data, but they have different strengths and use cases here. Flexibility. It's a very flexible tool, that is Chat GPT-3, that can be trained to analyze a wide range of data types and formats and understand natural language queries and generate human-readable text in response. It's kind of what you were saying before, you can't just look at all the data. Some people can, but this will disseminate it for you. It's also capable of generating human-like text that is creative and unexpected, which can help users identify new patterns and insights for data. Man, personalization. Chat GPT-3 can be trained on individual user data, allowing it to provide personalized insights and recommendations based on user-specific needs and preferences. And then the contextualization, it can provide insights that go beyond the raw data by contextualizing the data within broader economic, social, or cultural trends. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it can do so many different things. Ask it this: how can GPT-3 use this data to help me understand which neighborhoods are experiencing above normal appreciation?
Gather the data. To begin, you'll need to gather real estate data for the neighborhoods you're interested in analyzing, and then train the model. Next, you'll need to train a Chat GPT-3 model on the data you've gathered. Now, can you define what a Chat GPT-3 model is?
Yeah, so when I was talking about creating your own apps and tying in the API, that's talking about creating your own model. But I've learned how to train GPT-3 using the free model. I don't have to use its API. I can prompt engineer these long prompt documents and plug them in almost like an application, and this thing will run it like an application. It's pretty cool. And you can do it just within the free features here.
Now, just because as other people are watching this video and they're thinking, well, that sounds really cool. And I mean, obviously I know how the question that you decided we need to add this prompt to it, but how will having that model practically benefit when, in the same way that you're building these, basically without having to have the API?
So I think a better way for us to understand that is to continue reading what this gave us. So go back where we left off and where it said create our own app, which we're not going to do that. We're going to do that by training it with prompts, and we'll get into that. But what's it say after that?
Just train the model and then ask the model. So once the model is trained, you can start asking it questions about the data. For example, you could ask the model to identify which neighborhoods are experiencing the highest level of appreciation, or to predict which neighborhoods are likely to experience the greatest appreciation in the future based off of historical trends. And then, of course, analyze the results. Finally, you'll need to analyze the results generated by the model to identify patterns and insights.
Okay, so write this. Without having to train a new GPT-3 app, how can I use Chat GPT-3 and prompts in order to accomplish the same task? And what kind of specific data do I need to feed Chat GPT-3? Now, what we're doing right here, right now, this is live prompt engineering.
You can use Chat GPT-3 and prompts to accomplish the task of identifying neighborhoods that are experiencing above normal appreciation without having to train a new model. Even though it told us before, oh, you need to train a new model. See, it's all about the prompts that you're actually asking this if you're not getting the result that you want. And I think one of the big takeaways for this is if you don't get what you want and you hit a wall, it's like you said before, you called it the chain of thought prompt engineering, right? And that's what you've done, right?
Yep.
So this is how we do it, apparently. To begin, you'll need to define a prompt that tells Chat GPT-3 what task you want it to perform. For example, you might create a prompt like this. Which neighborhoods, I love that it just gave us this, which neighborhoods in blank city, right, are experiencing above normal appreciation based on historical real estate data?
So remember, this thing already has a bunch of historical data that we don't even need to feed it up to 2021. So we can get a lot of insight up to that date. And if we want more insight of more recent historical data, we just have to simply copy and paste it into there.
Right. Yeah, I love that. So then, of course, right, that's part of what you're saying. Gather the real estate data from the neighborhoods in the city you're interested in analyzing. If it doesn't already have it beyond 2021, which I think we have a sneaking suspicion, I'm sure that at some point it's going to be updated and it's going to have data beyond that. So
100%. They're already talking about releasing GPT-4. And there's going to be other companies like Jasper that use GPT-3 as their foundation, and it's connected to the internet. It's live connected to the internet. It just costs more to use.
So once you have the data, of course, sales volume and other relevant metrics, or if you're relying on the existing metrics before 2021, you feed the data into Chat GPT-3. Once you have the data, you can feed it into Chat GPT-3 by including it as part of the prompt.
What's it say on the next one?
To ask the question that once you've set up your prompt, you can ask Chat GPT-3 to generate a response by entering the prompt into the system, and that it'll analyze and generate a response based on that data that you've provided, and of course, interpreting the results.
Any one of those things, we could spend hours on just diving down a rabbit hole. Think of each of those numbers at number 1 through 5. Each of those is its own rabbit hole that you could just develop and expand on forever and continue just to go down.
Right, because questions that I would have is, okay, I know that you previously, as we were talking, if there is the data that we just copy to paste in here, but it's max character limit, well, we know what to insert now, right? You said to say, this is not the entire document. Please do not respond until you have the entire document before you respond. And then once you have it, you can say, this is the last document. Please respond based off of all of the previous entries, right?
Yes.
And you know what I found? You don't even have to say please, but it just makes us feel better.
I've had conversations with GPT-3, and it's actually talked about how it can interpret tone and intention based off of, people. If you're using a friendlier tone, just like you would with a human being, they're going to interpret, oh, this person is being respectful or being nice. It said that humans should consider treating AI with the same respect that they would treat other humans. Why wouldn't they? There's something to that effect.
So that kind of inspires me to just say this. Thank you so much for all the information so far. So one thing that we could use to benefit to understand the market data a little bit more, and you said it, any one of these 5, we could go down a rabbit hole of discovering exact steps.
Let's do that.
Right. So let's just go down this trail of discovering what the above normal appreciation in America, the US, or maybe we have to niche down a little bit further. What would you say?
Oh yeah, you definitely want to be pretty specific. What I wanted to add is the way to interpret the data. So for number 5, you spoke about interpreting data. How can speaking to GPT-3 help me interpret data in a different way than just looking at numbers on a graph? And then followed up with this, what benefits would it hold to be able to speak to your data and have a conversation with your data about future impacts?
One of the benefits of using Chat GPT-3 to interpret data is that it can help you gain new insights and perspective that you might not have considered otherwise. When you're looking at numbers on a graph or a table, it can be easy to get stuck in a certain way of thinking and miss important patterns or relationships in the data. By contrast, Chat GPT-3 can generate responses and recommendations that are based off or on a more historic understanding of the data, taking into account a wide range of factors and variables. For example, let's say you're analyzing real estate for a particular city or a region. You might have a lot of data on property values, sales volume, and other metrics, but you might not be sure how to interpret that data in terms of predicting future impacts. By speaking to Chat GPT-3 and asking it to analyze the data for you, you could gain new insights and perspective on what factors are likely to influence the future trends in the real estate market. Moreover, having a conversation with your data can help you identify and explore different scenarios and possibilities. By asking questions and generating responses, you can test out different hypotheses and see how they might play out in the real world. This can be particularly valuable in fields like real estate, where many other variables can impact future trends and outcomes. Overall, speaking to Chat GPT-3, it can help you interpret data in a more nuanced and comprehensive way.
So it's like, okay, that sounds good in theory, but what's it look like? So write this. Can you tell me a fictional story about how there was a real estate investor who was struggling to get deals? He purchased House Canary knowing that data could help him get deals. But once he logged in, he had trouble making sense of that data and knowing where to start. He then merged the data from House Canary with GPT-3, and GPT-3 gave him new, powerful insight that allowed him to find deals in record time.
Once upon a time, there was a real estate investor named Jack, who was struggling to find good deals in the competitive market. He had tried all sorts of strategies, but nothing seemed to work. He was getting discouraged. One day, Jack heard about House Canary, a powerful tool that's promised to help investors like him make better decisions based on real estate data. Excited by the possibilities, Jack purchased House Canary and logged in, eager to start exploring the data. But as soon as he started digging into the data, Jack realized he had a problem. There was so much information to sort through, and he wasn't sure where to start. He spent hours poring over charts and graphs trying to make sense of the data, but he still didn't feel like he was getting anywhere. That's when Jack decided to try something new. He had heard about Chat GPT-3, a powerful language model that could help people analyze and interpret data in new ways. So he decided to merge the data from House Canary with Chat GPT-3 and see what would happen. At first, Jack was skeptical, but he wasn't sure how a language model could help him find real estate deals. But as he started asking questions and generating responses, he began to see the power of the tool. Chat GPT-3 was able to help him identify patterns in the data that he hadn't noticed before, and it gave him new insights and ideas for finding deals. For example, Chat GPT-3 suggested that Jack focus on neighborhoods that were experiencing above normal appreciation, and it even provided him with a list of potential properties to target. Jack was amazed at how quickly he was able to find deals using this approach, and he realized that he had stumbled onto something truly powerful.
Then you can also ask it to do this in steps. So you could say, okay, take this model and help me create a process out of it. Let's think of this in steps.
Identify the need. The first step to identify the need for real estate analysis and insights. Got it. Acquire House Canary. The next steps is to log in and start exploring the data. After you've explored the data on House Canary and identified potential areas of interest, the next step is to merge the data. This can be done by using prompts. This is important too, because I was questioning that. Using prompts to ask questions and generate responses from the language model. Once you've merged the data with ChatGPT-3, the next step is to interpret the data and generate insights. This may involve asking questions about specific neighborhoods or properties, identifying trends in the data, or generating new ideas for real estate investment opportunities. Take action.
So now let's go into what data do we need to feed GPT-3 in order to help it find these trends.
You could use prompts to ask questions such as, what are the current property values in a particular neighborhood? How have rental rates changed over the past year in a certain area? What is the vacancy rate in a particular type of property? What is the median income? How property values and rental rates changed over time in a certain area? What are the most popular types of properties in a certain area? And what economic factors are influencing real estate trends in a certain area? I'm curious, most of the time, this type of stuff on graphs, you can't copy and then paste. If it's in a spreadsheet, how do you enter it in?
So you can download it as a CSV file. And then once it's downloaded as a CSV file, you convert that into text. And then you can copy and paste that text and put it into GPT-3. Or if you're looking at a website and whenever you're looking at, GPT-3 can look at with this Chrome extension. There's a Chrome extension that allows you to highlight words on a website and allow GPT-3 to read it. And if it was created after 2021, we might have to ask Google. Once you have that set up, you would be able to have it look at the website based off of whatever you're highlighting. And I can find it right now while you're playing with that. But a next prompt, once you go back to that page, would be please turn these steps into an SOP. And then you can expand like some of those things. Okay, so what kind of questions could we ask? What kind of data could we analyze? And it gave you a bunch of different questions of different data that it could analyze. And then we could feed it data based off of any one of those questions. We just say, what data do you need to answer this question?
So you had mentioned like the next step after this, really like identifying the need, determine the need for the real estate. And then with all these things, you would want to expand on some of this, right?
Yeah, I'd remove the first couple.
Merge with Chat GPT, use Chat GPT-3 to generate additional insights and ideas based on the data from House Canary. Use prompts to ask questions to generate responses. And like, see, this is the stuff that we would want to get even more clarity on, right? As an in-depth SOP.
Please give me some examples of specific prompts to use and specific questions to use. And then to answer it, and you plug that into that part.
Yeah. Hey, that's cool. What are the most common home features that buyers in this area are searching for? How would it know that from the data in-house?
So check this out. What data do you need in order to determine that? And where could I find it?
To determine the most common home features that buyers in an area are looking for, you would need data on recent home sales and buyer preference. This data could come from a variety of sources such as real estate sales data, information on recent home sales in the area, real estate listing data. Listing data can also provide insights to which features are most popular with buyers. I'm curious though, our data that we would put it in for like sales graphics, that was a CSV file. With House Canary, does it actually have the listing comments?
I don't think so. And so some of this stuff you would have to source from other sources. You could pull data from listings from different stuff like Privy. Privy, you can, and you guys know that, you can pull CSV files of listings, all the data and all that stuff, and then that puts it in a format to where you're going to be able to more easily feed it to GPT. I use these, what I call now, they're AI-powered SOPs, to where this is so much information, right? This is packed. If you were to put this in one document, it'd be a massive document. So instead, in the SOP, you write different tasks that they can do, and then the prompts that they'll use to learn more about those tasks. So you kind of take them on this path of prompts that they'll use, kind of like the path that we're taking right now. So you don't have to pack all of this in to one SOP. Instead, you have a prompt SOP that you combine with the power of GPT-3 to help train your people on a certain thing.
I have a question regarding that, right? So one of the things that we do when it comes to creating SOPs is we use a tool called Descript to record what we're doing on the screen, record our faces as well as the audio, but it also transcribes. And then one of the goals was have a VA take that transcription and then put it into an SOP. So there's a couple questions in here. The first one is, if we have Chat GPT just go in and just build a custom SOP, could you ask it to find a video that walks you through that particular process that's already available on the internet, so we don't have to recreate that video? And then second question, alternatively, if we couldn't find that, but we were to record ourselves doing a screen recording and take that transcription, could we just copy and paste the transcription into Chat GPT and tell it, take this and edit it into a step-by-step SOP?
Yeah, you can transcribe something that say it's another video and you transcribe it, and then you can tell GPT-3 to rewrite that transcription to sound original, and then create the SOP after that, so it doesn't seem like it's a carbon copy. The other thing is that GPT-3 cannot send you links. So if you say, hey, I need specific videos to this, it can't send you links, but what it can send you is specific websites that would contain that information, or specific YouTube channels.
I like that question because it's not just for building SOPs or anything like that, but also, you know, we have a specific training process for hiring virtual assistants, and it's a big data dump as far as like everything that we're doing. But there's a lot of people out there that model similar systems. So we're looking to provide what our system is, right? Not only is there an SOP for that, but there's also a video for that. So if we're able to just take the video stuff that exists and then bottom line it in steps by just copying and pasting a transcription in Chat GPT, like any steps that are irrelevant to our system we'll remove, and anything that we know at a high level we need to add, we'll add, and then turn it into a script.
Just wait till you guys see this training. Once it's available, I'm going to send it to you, and I'm super excited about it.
I've got a question about that right now. Obviously, it's going to be limited based on the fact that it's only good through 2021, right? So it's missing a lot of data. But could you post your description, your YouTube description that you just like custom type out, and or tell it to create a description for a video that goes over X, Y, and Z based on the criteria that will get that YouTube video to rank faster than any other description would?
Absolutely, and you can do it based off of historical data. We did something similar with SEO on our last AI session that we were talking about deal finding, and we went into somebody that was doing SEO, and I helped them out with that. And GPT-3 used historical data to tell them what keywords to use and what blog posts to write and how to find backlinks and all that stuff. So you can use historical data to historically what is the best headlines for this particular topic that's going to get the most views. And I do that when I'm writing copy, or if it sounds too robotic, it sounds like AI wrote it. I say, write this in the style of Russell Brunson with more heart and emotion.
Yeah.
Or I say, write this as a story, as if you're experiencing it in first person. And I go, write it just the way you want. Or you have a specific framework for copy, and you want it to hit certain points. So you can give it the framework, and then it's going to write the article or the copy based off of that copywriting framework.
I guess Chat GPT just took your job.
They took our jobs! Yeah, they're down!
No, I mean, not entirely, but I am starting to do exactly what he was saying, and I've done that for a couple other ones. I kind of wrote a bullet point, especially for the ones that I already had scripts for that I recorded. And then I took the script and copy and pasted it, and I said, based off of this script, I told ChatGPT, it is for a video on YouTube, and based off the script, create a compelling description in less than like 2,000 characters, and then a compelling title or whatever. Like, so I've done that, but for the ones that I don't have transcriptions of yet.
It's one thing to tell it to make a compelling description. It's another thing to tell it to make a compelling description that meets the criteria based on historical data that will elevate this video to the top of YouTube's algorithm faster than it would already.
It's starting to take my job. It's creating SOPs. You can just print out SOPs and processes and KPIs and all kinds of stuff with this. It's pretty incredible.
Well, I mean, I don't have a big following on LinkedIn, but Chat GPT did just write this article that I posted. I was showing this to our new hire for this, and I said, look, I want articles. I want to use every function and every feature of every single social platform that exists to be posting on a regular basis. And you don't have to come up with this stuff. Just use Chat GPT and make sure it sounds okay. And then I gave her a quick example, like took me 2 minutes total to then go and post this. And I was like, I don't know what hashtags to use. So then I showed her here on Chat GPT, just say like, based off of this article, what are some really good hashtags to use for LinkedIn? And then it just spat them out in a number, 1, 2, 3. And then I was like, rewrite them, comma delimited, not in a numbered list. And then it just spat it out. I copied and pasted it. It was really cool.
So what would you recommend as the best way, Kyle, to make sure that we're leveraging newer data that will help us from like the algorithm standpoints and the specific hashtags and whatnot that are going to be more relevant today versus pre-2021?
There's a lot of stuff as far as algorithms go. For example, with Facebook, the algorithms, they've changed and gotten a little bit more strict recently in Facebook groups. The Indeed algorithms, they change a little bit, and I've had to learn how to overcome that. But algorithms don't change so wildly that GPT-3 can't figure it out and give you good advice or good instruction based off of that. And I use it all the time to help me overcome the algorithm of Facebook and LinkedIn. And Indeed too, both of them. But I ask it questions about the algorithm. It's still accurate, it still works. Even though the algorithms might change slightly, it's still close enough to where it's going to give you a lot more insight than you can get on your own. It's almost as if you have a Facebook rep telling you, this is how the algorithm works. These are your limits. Imagine how powerful that would be. And that's how this GPT-3 is, even if it's not staying 100% up to date with those particular algorithms. With keywords, for example, I did that document with the keywords for SEO. All right, guys, so this is the document that I created on one of these live AI power sessions where we had somebody come on and he wanted us to help him work on his SEO. And this is what we do on these sessions is we use GPT-3 AI to help people work on their business. Now, this does not have current SEO data. These are not the best keywords to use currently and based off of what's trending. However, these are the best keywords historically, and there's massive power in that. So I asked GPT-3, what is the best keywords historically? And this is what it gave me. And then if you scroll down, you can see that I asked GPT-3 to write me a blog post, a SEO blog post based off of probates. And it did. And then I asked it to make it a post later on in the Zoom session. It made it into a post or a Facebook post. At the bottom is how to create backlinks, how to get backlinks to help your SEO. And that's how all this stuff we found during the live AI session. You can get current data and trending keywords and stuff like that through Google AdWords and software that's specifically designed for that. But for GPT-3 not being specifically designed to keep up on trending keywords, that's pretty impressive to be able to pull that historical data. Plus, you can ask it, you can say, hey, GPT-3, besides Google AdWords, where are some of the best places for me to find trending keywords? And then it can give you different examples besides Google AdWords on where to find that. But on this video, we covered a wide range of things to give you guys specific examples on how we're using it in our real estate investing business.
Really appreciate your time and your expertise in this area where many people don't even know when they're hit with a wall, there are other prompts. I just keep going back to what you said about the chain of thought prompt engineering. And that's something that everybody needs to know, not just in the real estate space, if they want to be able to utilize Chat GPT at a high level to actually benefit their business. This is incredible. Thanks so much for your time.
Real quick, before we get going, I want to give you an opportunity. Obviously, this is Chat GPT, and AI is not the only thing that you talk about and that you're skilled in. One of the things that you're really skilled in is finding off-market leads, and you have a whole program designed to do just that. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about that?
Absolutely, I appreciate that. So the main way that we help real estate investors is to be able to find direct-to-seller leads using Facebook groups. Now, you probably heard of different companies that teach how to use Facebook groups to find JV opportunities and stuff like that, but we use Facebook groups in a very different way. We find direct-to-seller leads. We find motivated seller leads, which means that, they're not on some list. They're not being hammered off of, pulling a list off a prop stream and being marketed by everybody else. This is somebody that, they just happen to talk to you on a post inside of a Facebook group. And in a lot of cases, there's not a ton of people talking to them about selling that property because it's not listed somewhere. It's not on Marketplace. It's not on Zillow. So you're going to be one of the first conversations that they have. So we use Facebook groups in order to find these direct to seller opportunities. And the thing is with organic marketing, you still have to pay. With advertising, you have to pay. You're either paying money or you're paying time. We show you how to use organic marketing without paying money or time, and that's by leveraging commission-only based seller teams. They use their own Facebook accounts to go and find deals on your behalf.
That's awesome, man. And guys, for those of you guys who are looking to get started in that, or you just want to get on Kyle's calendar to discuss possibly getting started with that program so you can level up your outreach direct to off-market sellers in a creative way that most other investors are not doing, definitely click the link below and get on his calendar and we'll get you guys hooked up. And for those of you who don't know, we are newer clients of Kyle's and we're just getting started. So for those of you who are on the fence, and you're not sure if this is the direction you want to go, stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, click that like button and the notification bell so you can be made aware of all of the videos in this playlist where we're actually going to track our progress going through the Done For You program so you can see exactly what we're experiencing firsthand. And if you're not ready to sign up today, you'll be ready to sign up pretty soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it being here and look forward to being on next time.
Thanks a lot, Kyle. We appreciate you coming on, and we're looking forward to doing a lot more business with you.
And you're not going to want to miss the next conversation that we have about everything Chat GPT and how it can take your business to the next level. So just click this next video right here to see that, and we're going to be making it easy.